Right, so Sneha, Shivani, Gautam, we'll start. Awesome. Great. Um, so, of course, welcome to everyone to Atma webinars. I'm Vaishali, a lead consultant at Atma, and since 2007, Atma has been supporting various NGOs by building capacity and creating systems. That's what we do. And the Atma webinar series started in 2017. And we created it as a platform for where speakers can share their practical experiences and knowledge so that all of us in the sector can benefit. So we try to cover various topics, covering all OD areas like HR, finance, fundraising, M&E. And you can find all our past webinars in the YouTube channel. We'll share the link as well. Also wanted to say that we have been working on a few interesting resources like the intermediary database, which is a verified list of all different sort of service providers who can help you out across OD areas. And we also released the Social Stock Exchange guidebook. So do go through those things. And of course, today we have a wonderful showcase and an extremely interesting tool to explore. Of course, on a day-to-day basis, we are overusing WhatsApp, right? Whether it's for work or for personal or for anything. But how do you use WhatsApp to drive more impact, right? That's something that we're going to have our speakers talk about today. And I'm very happy to invite Sneha, Gautam, and Shivani for this discussion today. And just want to introduce them quickly before we move on. So I'll start with Shivani. Just a second. There you go. So Shivani is a sociology graduate from St. Xavier's College, Mumbai. And of course, she's extremely passionate about social change. She was inspired by the Maya musical and she joined the Teach for India Fellowship, where she taught 84 students in grades 4 and 5 and launched the Young Educators Project, which is a peer leading initiative, teaching initiative. And since 2017, she has been with Kids Education Revolution, and we'll learn more about that soon, where she leads student projects, producing 3 musicals and facilitating sessions for young leaders and educators. She's currently serving as a coach there and is building the KER School, which is an edtech platform empowering children globally to grow as change makers. Thank you so much, Sneha, for joining us today. Next, we have Gautam from Glific. He's a product manager there and has worked with multiple nonprofits on building and deploying both AI and non-AI chatbots. And he's used it for a range of uses, right from helping streamline bed requests during COVID, the second wave, and to collecting data for a high court case, to assessments of learners to answer questions by users. So feel free to ask him as many questions as you see during the call, during the webinar, and after. We'll be sharing everyone's contact as well. And of course, then we finally have Sneha, who's brought all this together. So welcome, Sneha. And she leads the business development, sales, and marketing at Project Tech for Dev, primarily on Glific. And she brings over 10 years of experience in the social and education sectors. She has worked in diverse roles such as teaching, content development, partner engagement research, and designing large scale systems. So, as you can see, all 3 of them have varied experiences. And yes, before we finally begin, just a request to all the audience members. Please keep adding your questions in the chat box, just for more efficient answering of all the questions, and we'll ensure that we answer as many, if not all. And of course, we also have a dedicated Q&A space. And today's webinar is lined up such that all 3 speakers will share a bit about their experience with the bot and the platform. And then we'll also have a small fireside chat. And then, of course, we have a dedicated space for Q&A as well. आज का सेशन प्राइमरीली मतलब ज्यादातर इंग्लिश में रहेगा, लेकिन अगर आपको कुछ भी अगर हिंदी में आपको अगर पूछना है तो प्लीज पूछ सकते हैं, और अगर कोई क्लैरिफिकेशन चाहिए तो आप जरा चैट बॉक्स में लिखिएगा, तो मैं और आत्मा की टीम आपको मतलब पूरी कोशिश करेंगे कि हम आपको हिंदी में भी सपोर्ट कर सकें। स्पीकर्स भी जहां तक पॉसिबल है थोड़ा थोड़ा हिंदी इंटरस्पर्स करते रहिएगा। यस, दैट्स इट, एंड ओवर टू यू, स्नेहा।
Thank you so much, Vaishali. And thank you everyone for joining in. It's such a It's such good to see everyone out here. We've received good registrations for this webinar, and now just looking forward to a good engaging session. Before I begin, like how Vaishali said, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat box. कोई भी सवाल हो chat box में डालिए. We will be able to answer those questions either during the time itself, or we'll take it towards the end, depending on if you want to address it for the larger audience as well. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's just get started. I'm going to share my screen. Just a second. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Vaishali. Okay. All right. Just going to talk a little bit about Glific, but we will anyway cover this towards the later section of the presentation. We are going to primarily talk about what is WhatsApp chatbots. And Glific is a WhatsApp chatbot builder. Basically, it helps NGOs to build a WhatsApp chatbot for their programs. Okay, so before we get started, I have a question for everyone out here. How does your organization currently use WhatsApp? And how we are going to do this is through Mentimeter. Gautam, if you can just share the link and the code also.
So a link has been put on the in the chat. If you click it, your browser will open asking you for the code. Just put in this code 48175852. It is on the top of your screen. If you want, I'm just going to paste it here.
Okay. Just keep
And like whoever has said, in case you do not use WhatsApp, that's perfectly fine. Just do call out saying you don't.
okay, can see data collection, raising tickets, broadcasting messages to users, sending important messages, sending mass messages to users. Okay. Okay, there are a few not using it. Some are saying for transactional updates, troubleshooting, outreach, sending information, sending updates. Okay. We'll just keep it there for another 10 seconds. If you have done putting your input here, just feel free to read what people have mentioned here. Okay, glad to see for everything. Okay, yeah, that's what WhatsApp helps you to do. You can use WhatsApp for a lot of different things. Okay. Basic queries, sending project proposal. Okay, all right. Okay, so glad to see how diverse people have, diverse responses on the screen. A lot of people have been using it for communication. I can see that as a big bucket. Communication, sending updates, sending information to people. Surveys, I can see something as surveys and polls, registrations. Okay, so these are really, really good ways to use it. I'm just going to go back to my presentation and we'll just share a bit on how the penetration of WhatsApp. Some stats, these are some stats your way. So WhatsApp has more than 2 billion plus active users globally, and India is one of the largest, has the largest user base. Considering WhatsApp and email, WhatsApp has 90% message open rate versus an email that you send to through Google Groups or through any CRM, right? If you move to chatbots, if you move to chatbots, chatbots can actually help you save time on sending repetitive tasks. If you are through your program, you're sending if you're sending a content piece or an information on a regular basis, you can actually automate it and save time by 50%. How you can use chatbots is something we will cover in the next section. It's accessible everywhere and by everyone. Even it is accessible on low-end devices and even in remote areas. So that's a bit on how WhatsApp, what's the penetration of WhatsApp and how it's being used in the country. I added this slide towards the end after going through the questions on the registration form, and I realized most of the people are new to what WhatsApp chatbots are. So hence the slide is up here. Most of the people have seen WhatsApp or WhatsApp Business or have used WhatsApp or WhatsApp Business on their phones. So WhatsApp is the app that you would use to send messages to your friends and families. It's for personal use. Then there is something called as WhatsApp Business. It is another separate app that you use on your phone to send messages to, if you're running a small business, you can use WhatsApp Business to send messages about your products, services, and it's a separate app. So both of these are app-based. Now, the third one is WhatsApp Business API, which we call as chatbot. This is for reaching people at scale, reaching more number of people. Consider the first case and the second case, how it is different is WhatsApp or WhatsApp Business. You would only have one person who is sending message to, for example, 200 people or 500 people, right? Because it's app-based. Now, WhatsApp Business API is platform-based. In this particular case, you get a platform and your entire team can come on the platform and automate the messages and send it at scale. What I mean by scale is it is subjective. It can even mean like sending messages to 500 people, 1,000 people, or more than 1 lakh, right? Totally, it is subjective on how you want to do it. But it just gives you the power to automate without worrying too much of, without worrying too much on whether my users are getting information at the right time or not. So that's the difference between both. If you have more questions on this, feel free to add it on the chat window. Gautam is here, Shivani is here. We can answer it for you. Okay, now my question is, why should NGOs care about chatbots? We are using WhatsApp and WhatsApp Business, or most of you might also be using WhatsApp groups. If you are an education-based NGOs, you would ideally, in most of the cases, you will have a WhatsApp group with your students or with your teachers, right? Why should you think about moving from WhatsApp groups to WhatsApp chatbots? That's a question. And there's another question to this. Imagine you have to now send messages to all your users, all your people. Can your current system, either WhatsApp or WhatsApp groups or WhatsApp or WhatsApp groups, can handle it for you? So all can be, for example, 10,000 users. If you want to just send a message to all 10,000 users, can you do that or not? Right? If you can just type down your response, yes or no, that would just help us get an understanding. Prabha says no. Will take a lot of time. Yes, we are a very small team. Okay. Okay. For people who are saying WhatsApp broadcast, what I also mean here is when you send messages, do you also get acknowledgements or responses back from all your users? And do you see a communication a two-way communication happening in real time. That's what I mean when I say reaching all your people. Okay, users are multilingual. Okay, I can see few people are using WhatsApp chatbots. Okay, great. Okay, yeah, so that's why we're shifting from WhatsApp to WhatsApp chatbots. It just helps organizations to reach at a larger scale, reach to more number of people in real time, and gives you the power to reach out to all your people without putting a lot of manual load on the team member who is sending it, right? So that's the key here. Okay, I'm going to talk a little about what Glific does. So Glific is a WhatsApp chatbot builder or a WhatsApp chatbot platform that can help NGOs build their own chatbots. Now, we have more than 150 plus organizations who are using Glific to build their own chatbots. They've built their own chatbots, and now they're engaging with a lot of beneficiaries in real time. So they've bunch of different organizations in different sectors. We've mentioned 9+, but it is sector agnostic. Any organization can use it if they feel like there is a need to automate. And my team member is sending a repetitive message every day or every week to so many groups or so many people. So that is what Glific can do for you. How organizations are using WhatsApp chatbots. I've just put a few points here for people to understand. I will share a resource with you, Vaishali, so that you can also share it with the team, with the people here on how they can think about using WhatsApp chatbots. One basic thing is using personalized content. So when you are saying broadcast, is that broadcast personalized for that particular user? Is that for that person who is really looking for that kind of information, or you're just broadcasting without understanding whether my user is actually interested in this kind of content? So sending personalized content, which is more tailored to an audience. For example, you have 10 groups or 10 people who have different interests. Someone is interested in, arts, someone is interested in history, someone is interested in geography. How can you send messages which are more related to one particular topic to only that group, only those set of users? That's what WhatsApp chatbots can help you with. You can share resource access. For in this particular case, Antrang Foundation is sending career guides to students. You can collect feedback and data. You can run surveys, collect feedback. For example, you had a workshop today. Can you send the feedback? Ask the users to send you feedback through the chatbot itself. That is something which you can do. Get submissions on assignments, assessments. All of that is possible. Also share progress. So we've recently launched custom certificates. So if you're an education NGO thinking about using custom certificates, basically want to send a certificate to a particular user, you can do that through WhatsApp chatbot as well at scale. So that's something which you can do. Answer FAQs. One of the most interesting one. People have a lot of questions and they reach out to you on WhatsApp to ask, hey, it can be either related to a program or anything that you're doing currently. So those FAQs can be automated. So you can actually have the system send automated messages to the user without having this person to send repetitive messages to all those people, all the queries. Nudges, reminders. There's a workshop coming up tomorrow. Please attend. A message can be automated and sent at a particular time. So that is something which you can do. For this, I would like to just share a small example. So this is an organization called Sneha, Mumbai. What they do is they work with women on maternal and child health. And they know every Friday, evening they will, or on every day, they will have phones only at a particular time. And that too in the evening. These are women from low income communities. How can you then send messages to all these women at a particular time when you know that they are going to see your message? So that is something you can, send through WhatsApp chatbots. Basically, they send messages to all these women at a particular time during the day, and that's automated. So that is something you can do. You can integrate it with other tools, for example, CRMs and LMS. So yeah, so that's a bit on how you can leverage WhatsApp chatbots. It's not limited to just the list that I showed you. Wherever you see a scope of digitally engaging with your audience, you can use WhatsApp chatbots. So yeah, I'll now invite Gautam to I'll ask Vaishali. Yeah, Vaishali.
If there, so I mean, there were only two questions and they've been answered already, about whether Glific supports Indian languages, and I think it does, about 12. And of course, keep the questions coming, everyone. Um, if there is any, otherwise we can continue on to.
Yeah, we can invite the next speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, Gautam, would you like to continue on?
Sure. Thank you. Let me share screen. Once you see my screen, please let me know.
Is it me?
You
or-
can see my screen.
Not yet. Gautam, not yet.
Okay,
We can, yeah, now we can.
perfect. Perfect.
But there
बहुत
is a bit of
simple
lag.
problem है. हाँ, okay. So I will go slow. If you have questions, please put it on the chat window. Right? Now, to understand this particular chatbot, you all need to pretend to be government officials. So for 1 minute, please close your eyes without falling asleep. Imagine that you are a government official. You have been tasked to execute the state rural livelihood mission. You are going from district to district wherever you're going. You're speaking to people, you're speaking to officials, you're speaking to your own team. You are speaking to NGOs. All of them have a lot of questions saying, "Arey, ये नया change आया है, क्या है फायदा, कैसे करना है?" Your team says, "Sir, I didn't understand. मैंने ये पुराना वाला कर लिया. Now how do I fix it? एक self help group में कितना women होना है?" Right? You will have a lot of questions you have to answer. If you have ever read a government policy or a notification, I assume all of you have. I assume that you know how difficult it is. Every policy is written differently. Every update is written differently. If the officer wants to put the whole policy with 3 lines of updates in between, they'll do that. If they want to call out updates separately as a single page, they'll do that. There's no standard. Everything is different. So for you as an officer, will it be easy for you to read a document and know exactly what the changes are, or will it be difficult? मुश्किल तो होगा, because you have to understand ये डॉक्यूमेंट में ये लाइन अलग है, सो ये है नया चेंज. ये याद रख के एग्जीक्यूट करना बहुत मुश्किल है, right? So what Kunji decided was A, there is a challenge here. We want to make it very easy for officials or self-help group officials to know exactly what they have to do. Two, if they forget, because it is human, you will also forget when 100 people come and ask you a question. it should be easy for you to get the answer then and there, right? So that way you're benefiting the person who's asking the question, not putting yourself under pressure. Three, people will ask questions in all languages, right? So you should know exactly how to say it in Hindi. You should also know how to say it in English, whatever is the language. So how do you do that? With these as the problem statements, Kunji, the chatbot was created, right? It is a one-stop solution for you to understand anything and everything related to the state rural livelihood mission and the policies related to it. You can ask any question, it will answer related to that. Nothing more, right? In real time. So let's just see a very, very quick um, demo, right? What are the features of Kunji? You can ask questions by typing. You can ask questions by voice note. You can ask in English, Hindi. For now, these are three languages we have enabled, right? You can get a summary, but you can also get detail. लंबा सा आंसर चाहिए वो भी है, summary भी है. Or on the other side, if you are the state official, you should know which district, which designation, who's using what, kitna, all of these things are available. But let's say you have now got a new policy. Is it easy to add the new policy? Yes, it's very easy to add new policy, right? And last thing, when you add a new policy, it should be easy for you to also send a message to everybody saying, "Bhai, naya policy aaya hai, or please dekh lijiye," right? So all of these are possible. Let me play a short video. Okay, sorry, there is something wrong with the video, but let me just play that in a minute. On the right side, you just see some stats where we have seen people coming back saying, the interaction was very easy because voice was enabled. It was answering the questions. Overall experience was using very good. Now let me just turn off screen share for a minute to see why the video is not playing.
Maybe your internet, in case you want us to share. Okay, we can see the screen.
Gautam, is there an audio to this? I can't hear.
It's music, so it's fine.
Okay. Also the font is smaller.
No, others can see properly. I think I'll just read out since not a lot can read. Yeah.
Gautam, can you just pause in between and
Sure,
explain what's happening? Because it's,
sure,
yeah.
sure. So if you saw after a very simple registration flow, one of the use cases Sneha spoke about was data collection. Registration is a very simple data collection. You can do validation. एज के फील्ड में नंबर्स होना है, ईमेल के फील्ड में @dot whatever email address होना है, right? So you can put validation to make sure your data collection is clear. So after a very, very simple data collection process, you are seeing a colleague actually asking questions to Kunji. So you can ask questions in English, or Hindi, either by typing or by voice notes. And when it Kunji answers, it gives you not only the answer, but it also gives you where you can read more on. Because if you're an official, the most important thing is proof. Kaha likha hai. Right? So phone pay, if you can get the PDF link, you press the PDF link, download, see the PDF, and then you're able to validate saying, ha, idhar likha hai. Right? So this is what Kunji is doing. We have loaded more than 100 documents. There is no real limit to how many documents you can load. You can load versions of documents. You can load different policies. You can load different languages. But as a user, imagine you are using Kunji, you will not really feel any difference like you're speaking to a person. It will quickly answer everything you have. But on the other side, because the conversations are happening, the metrics, which policy was queried the most, who is querying it, when was it queried, how many questions were answered, how many were not, how many policy documents were correct, how many were not, all of these things will come. Right? So if you are an officer sitting on the other side of Kunji, you know which policy you have to do training on, to whom you have to do training on. Right? So it's a two-way system. You can use Kunji for building capacity constant. In the interest of time, I will pause now. Right? I will pass it on to the next speaker because they have done some very, very interesting work. But we would love to kind of talk a little bit more about this during the Q&A. Over to you, Shivani.
Thank you, Gautam. Hi, everyone. Before I start, मैं quickly अपने आप को introduce करूँगी. मेरा नाम शिवानी है. मैं Teach for India के साथ काम करती हूँ. I work on the KER team at Teach for India. तो पूरे Teach for India में KER एक project है जो primarily बच्चों के साथ काम करता है, हमारे main fellowship के अलावा. And इस project के अंदर हमने एक बहुत ही exciting नया project शुरू किया है जिसके बारे में मैं आज आपको बता I'm going to tell you a little bit about KER School, which is our newest project at Kids Education Revolution. Yeah, that's what KER stands for. Okay, so the project is called KER School, like I said, and ye hamara logo hai. This is our logo. It's a mascot that we have developed with children from across the country that was designed in-house, and that is currently the face of KER School. अब quickly हमने ये क्यों start किया? Why did we even start this? It's because at Teach for India, in the next decade, we want to build 50,000 leaders. अगले 10 सालों में हमें 50,000 leaders बनाने हैं जो education improve करने के लिए, who actually work as education leaders in the country. But what we at KER believe is that this is not just adults who can lead, but it's also children who can be education leaders, who can make the world a better place, and who can act for change. And so through KER School, what we want to do is actually take this opportunity to grow, right? ताकि हर बच्चे को एक opportunity मिले कि वो खुद अपने leadership skills develop करे. ये opportunity हम इंडिया के हर बच्चे को देना चाहते हैं, to actually reach the very last child with this philosophy and with this opportunity. So that's really why we have done this. And the reason we're doing this on WhatsApp is because I think, like the stats that Sneha shared, right? A lot of our children, even though it's on a shared device, they do have access to WhatsApp. It's easy, it's simple, it's fast, it's on their phones, it's in their house. And you don't need a lot to actually get on a phone and use WhatsApp, even if you are a child. And I think COVID was a big example of how WhatsApp can be used as a way to effectively teach and learn. And I think that's just a learning that we're taking forward, right? तो क्योंकि हर बच्चा WhatsApp को access कर सकता है अपने parents के phone से, siblings के phone से, इसलिए हम WhatsApp पे ये chatbot बना रहे हैं. Again, क्योंकि हम 50,000 leaders बनाना चाहते हैं, KER School will take us one step closer to that dream. Now, what is KER School? मैंने काफी बात की है KER School के बारे में. What exactly is it? It's a digital learning experience that is housed on WhatsApp. So it currently exists as a WhatsApp chatbot that will help us build student leaders across India. Right? So जब हम leaders की बात करते हैं जो change लाते हैं अपने society में, those who actually act for a better world, this will help us build student leaders who can grow in these skills through this learning experience that's housed on WhatsApp. What will they get on WhatsApp? They will get personalized learning journeys that will help them build 21st century skills as well as build an orientation to take action towards change, right? So it will not just help them build an awareness of the problem around them, but also take small actions towards solving them. So that's really what KER School is, why it exists. It's very different from, say, a chatbot that is used to collect data or collect assessments. This is actually full-fledged learning experiences. जैसे आप किसी कोर्स में करेंगे या कोई क्लासरूम में करेंगे, we're actually trying to recreate a very meaningful and rigorous learning experience, but in an extremely simple and easy to navigate method, right? So that's really the fundamentals of KER School. What makes it extremely unique? The first is that there is choice and ownership, right? So कोई सेट टाइम नहीं है कि हर बच्चे को 6 बजे आके ही सीखना है, इतने टाइम के लिए सीखना है, यही सीखना है. Children can actually choose when they want to learn and how they want to learn, right? So as a child, I may choose to log in at 9 a.m. every morning, or today I have time in the evening, I will do it at 7 p.m., but tomorrow I may do it at 10 a.m., right? So it's really giving the power in the hands of the child to say you can choose what you want to learn and when you want to learn. We have AI powered technology that helps personalization. So we've layered in AI technology that actually helps our bot give personalized feedback to children on their responses, which helps them get that kind of motivation and mentorship that they need. The third one is relevant mission driven content. आप बच्चों को अगर बोले कि हाँ मैं तुम्हें climate change के बारे में सिखाऊंगी, they don't want to learn it, right? Unless you actually help them see that hey, तुम्हारे city में these problems exist because climate change is a real problem that we face as a country, right? So how do you make it relevant to them? How do you make it something that they will actually care about? And how do you pitch that as a learning experience versus से कि हाँ ये एक बहुत बड़ा topic है जो अभी हम पढ़ने वाले हैं. And lastly, practicing micro habits. So बच्चे कैसे छोटे छोटे actions ले सकते हैं? How do we do small habits that eventually will compound over time towards building a orientation to change making? And another very important part of this learning experience are the 8 C's. When I said we will help children grow on 21st century skills, these are the skills that I'm talking about that we have sort of adapted and created in the form of characters. So there is communication, there is critical thinking, there is consciousness, creativity, compassion, curiosity, collaboration, courage, right? So all our content helps children grow on these 8 C's. I know there are a few things in the chat. I'm going to get to it after I'm done presenting. जब हमने ये pilot शुरू किया, when we started, we actually were part of the Glific accelerator that happened last year, where we got hands-on support for a few months as well as access to a lot of resources on the Glific platform. And हमने कहा that once we have all this, our goal is कि content design करना है and एक first version of the product design करना है. तो वो काफी evolve हुआ है तब से, but we said एक version of the product on Glific हमें design करना है. हमने 2 small-scale pilots किए पिछले साल में. We ran 2 small-scale pilots over the year that spanned across India, and we wanted to reach 200 plus children across India through KER School. So this is what we set out to do last year in June, July. I'm going to walk you through a little bit about उसमें actually होता क्या है, right? When we said हम content develop कर रहे हैं, हम mission develop कर रहे हैं, उसका मतलब क्या है? I'm going to walk you through that with a few demos as well. So जब भी कोई बच्चा log in करता है, when they join KER School on WhatsApp, they come in, they create their profile and they learn about KER School. तो पहले एक छोटा सा introduction होता है, registration होता है, etc. वो कुछ इस तरह दिखता है, right? So हमारा जो mascot है वो आपको welcome करता है, tells you that you're now going to be part of this great school, great learning experience, and you can also ask the mascot questions about why am I here, what will I learn, etc. Again, towards building curiosity in children. बच्चों से हम consent form sign कराते हैं इस stage पे, उन्हें KER school के बारे में बताते हैं to tell them what sort of lies ahead. After that, they can choose a mission, right? So मैंने कहा था कि बच्चे जो challenges देखते हैं अपने आसपास, whatever they see in the world around them, we're trying to tap into that. So we currently have 2 missions. The first one is on gender. The second one is on climate. So children can choose which mission they want to engage with. हर mission में 3 levels है. हर level का अलग objective है. I'm not going into detail on that, but if you want to know more, we can take it up later. Again, examples of that, मैंने कहा था कि बच्चों को choice मिलता है, so they can choose whether they want to do option A, B or C, and हर option में उन्हें अलग content access करने का opportunity मिलेगा. And then I said there is AI layering as well that helps personalization. So again, here you will see that how the child is replying in one word, but the bot is sort of helping the child come to a deeper reflection, articulate the answer better. So almost saying that how can it be a more conversation-like experience that helps children learn new things and unpack their own thinking a little bit. Again, special features, what makes it really exciting? Daily nudges and reminders. So we've sort of tried to narrow down when is it that children mainly come on. We send them a nudge every day. Real stories of change makers. So not just adult, but children change makers as well who we worked with. We try to bring their stories in. Taking small actions for change. So keeping it very, very low stakes. कि आपको coach एकदम जाके 100 लोगों से बात नहीं करनी, but can you talk to 2 people? Right? Keeping it really, really simple for children, as well as making them feel very relevant and related to the content. That's really what we're trying to create through the experience. This is a capture of the entire experience. Over the last year, we've had 400 students who have been nominated by their teachers, coming from 12 cities across India. And out of these 400, 130 of those children have been able to activate their learning journeys by choosing missions, reaching different levels of the learning experience. Oops, sorry. Additionally, a few of the things that we have also done is been on the ground to observe children and actually learn from them real time, created 200 plus content pieces, integrated the Bhashini feature on our chatbot so that children can ask questions in English or Hindi and get responses in English or Hindi. Have demo days with educators. So really try to invest educators in the process as well. Quick turnaround, right? So हमारी तरफ से हम अपने systems कैसे strong रखे data track करने के लिए, and इसके लिए भी Glific के dashboards and हमारे बाकी data dashboards were a big way for us to keep tracking how children are progressing on the journey. Another big highlight were our visuals. ये हमारा mascot है, जैसे मैंने पहले दिखाया. हमने badges भी design किए हर level के लिए. So every time a child completed a level, they were given a badge, and all of this was again designed in-house with a lot of feedback from children. कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स भी आए ये पूरे जर्नी में जैसे हम ये डेवलप कर रहे थे, एंड एक्चुअली उन थोड़े प्रॉब्लम्स के बारे में बात करूंगी, बट ऑल्सो बताऊंगी कि हमने उन्हें सॉल्व कैसे किया, राइट? हाउ डिड वी मूव फ्रॉम प्रॉब्लम टू अपॉर्चुनिटी? We realize that lengthy content just doesn't work. Children don't want like a long learning experience where I will sit and learn for 1 hour every day. It's slightly unrealistic for most children. So we pitched it as you just do 15 minutes every day. But if you do 15 minutes for one whole week, that is still a lot more learning than you would have done with nothing at all, right? So making it extremely low stakes कि आप 1 घंटा मत बैठो, बैठना भी नहीं चाहिए, just sit for 15 minutes. Introducing a branded mascot, right? So बच्चों को सिर्फ पढ़ना नहीं है, they want to see videos, they want to see pictures. So introducing a lot of visual design elements, क्योंकि हमने notice किया कि लंबा लंबा टेक्स्ट है, बच्चे ड्रॉप ऑफ हो रहे हैं. Onboarding educators, right? So teachers को कैसे involve किया ये पूरे journey में, actually making them as partners, doing frequent check-ins with them. बच्चों को स्टैंडर्ड रिस्पॉन्सेज नहीं चलते, राइट? अ लॉट ऑफ द टाइम्स बच्चे ऐसी चीजें पूछते थे जो हम एंटिसिपेट नहीं कर पाते थे, एंड इसलिए हमारा जो एआई प्रोबिंग, एआई पावर जो हमने इसमें ऐड किया, ऑल ऑफ दैट रियली हेल्प सॉर्ट ऑफ बिल्ड इन मोर एक्सेसिबिलिटी, whether it was through language translation or through multimodal response. Children could respond as voice notes, as pictures, they could write, so that sort of made it easier for them. Having data dashboards, of course, क्योंकि हमने realize किया कि बहुत ज़्यादा data है, तो उसे कैसे filter किया जाए by actually creating dashboards of exactly what we need. And strengthening fallback system, right? जब कोई बच्चा respond करता है जो आपने expect नहीं किया, आपका bot fallback में चला जाता है. So how do you actually strengthen those systems? By trying to make your bot smarter to anticipate what a child may ask. These are some pictures from our on-ground observations. This was in Hyderabad, this is Kolkata, this is Bangalore. Again, we travel sort of all over the country to learn from these children as they experience the bot and try to see sort of what is working for them and what we can do better. मैंने काफी बात किया है, बट अगर आप इससे दो चीजें ले सकते हैं, इट वुड बी दिस माय टू बिगेस्ट sort of takeaways from the entire experience. अगर आप अपना bot बना रहे, if you are making your own bot, start with a very strong why, right? Think about why is this the best bet for your organization? Why is this the best way to advance your work? And most importantly, keep your user at the front and center, right? कि आपके user को क्या पसंद आएगा, what will they like, what will they resonate with, what will actually not work for them, right? With children, we learned that long content is just not going to work. So how do you keep the user at the front and center as you're designing your product? And how do you just make it extremely simple for them? And lastly, and I think most importantly, start small and fail fast, right? Don't set up something that is extremely big and like took like 100 hours to create, but create like a small thing, test it out really quickly and test it out with definitive indicators of success, right? So have very strong metrics of how are you defining success, what are your goals, and then really do multiple rounds of tests, quick fixes that help you take your product towards something that is most ideal for your users. You will not get it right at the first shot, but how do you continue just holding a lens of prototyping, trying something new, failing, experimenting, and all of that towards actually creating a great product. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you so much for listening. That's my email ID in case any of you would like to connect to talk more later. Please feel free to reach out. And I'm gonna hand over back to Vaishali. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sneha. We have the chat, Zoom chat is buzzing, definitely. I'm going to invite both Gautam and Shivani, and also how we envisioned is there are some questions that we also have for both of you, right? And I think some things we can take up. We'll try to answer, try to mix the audience questions along. Yeah, is that okay? Of course, there are some questions being raised. I think we can go with some of the questions that have come in the chat, right? One is, of course, and this ties into the question of why did you decide to choose this medium, right? Like, why did you decide to explore WhatsApp chatbots as a tool for communication? And I think along with that, if you can, there are some concerns that are being raised, right, by the audience members, very rightly so, is about the effectiveness for it for learning, right? And also, do the children see this as serious learning, or is it just fun? And if it is fun, is that okay, right? So that's one thing. Yeah, we'll hear from you, Shivani, and then we can take on more questions.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that why we chose WhatsApp speaks a lot to what like stats Sneha shared earlier, right? It is extremely accessible. It is very easy. And whether we like it or not, it is where our children are today, right? COVID, if there's one thing that COVID taught us is that all children to a certain degree in most contexts can access a phone. And because KER school is designed for older children, they can also use it independently. A lot of children in many diverse contexts today are relying on things like chat gpt or WhatsApp for homework as well. And so how do you just meet the user where they are? To your question on whether this is serious or fun, I do think it can be a mix of both, and that both can extremely easily coexist if you are intentional about it. They are learning about serious things, right? We have had instances where children are talking about gender discrimination they see around them. I think instead of serious or fun, I would look at it as how aware is it making you, and how is it helping you grow holistically, not just in academics, but also just as a responsible citizen in the society, right? And this is a first step towards that. And they do have a very long way to go, but this is a first step that they can take towards building that awareness. I also want to call out that I have Nitesh from my team here who is very amazingly answering the questions on the chat. So if there's anything missed there, I'm happy to take it. But Nitesh has worked on developing a lot of the technology with us. He was also part of the Glific Accelerator last year. And Nitesh, thank you for taking the questions. Whatever's left out, I'm happy to take on here. But I hope that answers your question, Vaishali.
I just want to kind of add one thing, right? Glyphic is designed as a communication system, as compared to a couple of other WhatsApp chatbot providers who will design it around a CRM or whatever, right? Because it is designed as a communication system, you have complete visibility end to end about what the communication happening is. Two, all of your data is with you. It's on when you create a Glyphic account, you will be asked to create your own Google Cloud storage. So we store everything there. So you have complete control. So you want to analyze it, you want to tweak it, you want to start building, like Nitesh has said, guardrails to make sure that what is being answered is right. You can do it. You can also have something called as a background flow, where every day it reviews the answers given and then flags the ones which are suspect, right? So that the human can review it. So these are some ways you can constantly make sure that what is being shared is correct. Also, what happens is over time, you have some sort of credibility and goodwill built. So let's say by mistake, the bot has said something wrong. You have the immediate ability to reach out to the person and say, sorry, this answer was wrong. This is the correct answer, right? And if they ask you questions saying, ठीक है, ये पढ़ित गलत uh, जवाब क्यों आया है, you can actually have a chat and explain, making them co-owners of your journey. One of the biggest strengths of a Glyphic ecosystem is the community. You're not alone in doing things. There are multiple people who have tried experiments, right? In fact, on this chat itself, there are a couple of people who have used Glyphic. So you can always reach out saying, hey, how have you done this? How have you designed this dashboard? What metrics are you using, right? Or can you give me your flow in the most basic way? Uh, I will kind of modify it and use it. So all of these are very, very possible. Vaishali, is there any other question you would want to focus on, or shall I just keep picking up questions and
Hi, I'm back. I don't know if you could see me, but yes, I could not connect at all. Sorry about that. Um, Sorry, just give me a minute. Though there were more questions. If anything more came on chat, I have lost access to it, but I do have the questions from before. Um, so just going by, I think you mentioned about why you were using WhatsApp. I think there's also one more question related to the learning part or the AI part of it, right? About whether AI learning might lead to less critical thinking skills. And so there are concerns regarding that and regarding consent. I had seen that somebody from your team also had started answering on the chat, but I think it's a worthwhile topic to discuss, and then we can go on. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually that that reflection was a big learning for us from our second pilot, which is we saw it played out both ways, right? So at one end, the AI probing that we layered in was extremely helpful in pushing children to respond correctly by asking them more probing questions. So, hey, where did you see this happen? Why do you think this happens? What is the connection between this and this? What can you infer from this? So almost like a mentor that is guiding children towards a deeper reflection. But a flip side of that was that we also saw a lot of AI generated responses that children fed in, right? So if I gave a task that write poetry on like climate change and why it's a problem, a child can very easily feed that into ChatGPT, get a very incredibly sounding poem, and then just like paste that here. Which is what we saw this time. So our next step from that, I do agree that to a certain extent, while AI is extremely helpful, the burn of it can be that it can reduce that ability to think critically in children. And we also know that it is here to stay. A lot of our children are already using it, they know how to use it. And so, what we're trying to do right now is actually two things. One, we're going through all our past sort of data. So, we've mined all that data from the back end, and we're actually analyzing chats to see how effective the AI's probing has been so that it can ask better questions and we can set those guardrails up for the next pilot. So we're actually pulling out trends from all our past data. We're trying to see what are instances where, okay, this is a good response. So let's see if we can pull that into a trend and make that a sort of a setting for the bot in the future. And what are times when it could have responded differently, and how do we set up that condition for it to not do it again next time? Separately, something we're trying to explore, and I think we're still figuring out a lot of this, is if we can have some level of AI detection layered in, right? So if we see or suspect that something is a response given by a child is AI generated, actually first asking them that, hey, did you use AI for this? Because maybe some children are just really good writers, right? And we have to give that benefit of doubt. But asking, hey, did you use AI for this or not? If a child says yes, then actually creating that safe space for a child to say, hi, we would like to hear your unique voice. And while Chat GPT is a great friend to have, we want to hear what you have to say in your unique way. And that it's okay if it's not perfect, it's okay if it's grammatically incorrect, but we want to hear what you have to say. And actually encouraging a child towards saying, can you come up with an answer by yourself instead of saying, hey, why did you use AI? This is very bad. I want to hear you. So almost flipping the narrative and saying, hey, this is a safe space where you can share authentically and it's okay if it's wrong. And we have had instances of children telling us that they feel safe enough to share with the chatbot because they feel like they're not being judged. No one is reprimanding them for giving them a wrong answer, right? So I think it's more about how you pitch it and how you look at it by accepting that AI is here to stay. But how do we work within that condition and within that framework to still make our children into critical thinkers and independent learners?
I
Yeah.
just want to add to what you're saying, Shivani, and this is a very counter way of thinking, right? You need to exercise the core skill of critical thinking to get answers from the AI anyway. So
Yeah.
people are critically thinking. The difference only might be that are they disconnected from the real world critical thinking? That could be the only thing. But like you said, because you have a large language model, right? It's easy to kind of say, okay, if someone gives an answer which looks like AI generated, ask 5 questions to help them think through and say, at least how did they think about giving this? So then you're normalizing and accepting the fact that AI is here to stay, but also connecting it back to the real world. I think that's a great point.
Yeah. Aligned. Fully agree. Yeah.
Also, I mean, we have to live with this reality that it's here, right?
And more
The
for our
more
children than us. I think for children who are in
true.
school, who are in the midst of like exams, etc., it is a it's very normal for them. We've
Yeah.
done on-ground observations across India, and everywhere we've had children think, "Ah, मैं chat GPT use करता हूँ. Yes, I use it for my English homework." So it is normal.
Yeah.
And it's getting increasingly normal. It's not there where every child
Mhm.
can use it, but slowly and steadily it is growing.
I just want to point out this very interesting thing. There is a huge need in India to speak English, right? And you have to speak good English. So I know a couple of orgs who have actually used AI to help people say something in their mother tongue and then phrase it back in English, hoping that when they read it and review it, they actually learn, right? So I'm just saying वो scenario भी है. So I think हमारा व्यू होना है कि ठीक है एआई है अभी फोन पे इंटीग्रेटेड नहीं है 2 जनरेशन छोड़ दीजिए OS 17 18 आ जाएगा इट विल बी पार्ट ऑफ योर कीबोर्ड ओनली सो हाउ डू वी build around that reality? I think that will be a better way to approach this.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is how I want to address some of the other questions coming up. So, of course, Gautam, I think there are questions regarding how much money it takes to maintain a bot, right? For example. And also, I want to ask both of you regarding how did you manage the teams within? Right, so those questions are there. If you can take them up in some time, but I think there's like one final question I think from Rishabh about like he's asking where they've also used WhatsApp chatbots, where the responses are pre-fed and the flow of conversations is anticipated, right? So how does AI integration work to make the chatbot reflexive, to be able to answer unforeseen questions in the chats or spontaneously offer solutions to context-specific, complex conceptual questions within your curriculum? And I think Gautam, outside of learning context, outside of education context, if you've seen AI being used for questions which may not be pre-fed into the WhatsApp chatbot, how does it work? If both of you can answer that, yeah.
Ronnie, would you want to start?
I'm going to speak from our context and I'd also invite Nitesh to jump in because I know this is his this is what he does every day. But I think with children especially, it's very difficult to anticipate. So we tried, our first bet was, hey, let's actually let our thinking go crazy and say, okay, this is the expected response. But what are like 10 other ways in which children can respond to this, right? And in our first pilot, that actually didn't work very well because we were not able to anticipate. Because it's something as small as a spelling error, or it's something, it could be like grammatically incorrect as well, but it's extremely difficult to anticipate that. And so in our first pilot, when there was an unanticipated response beyond the traditional flow, our bot went into fallback mode, which means it required manual intervention. Um, in our first in our first pilot, there were 100 plus instances of manual intervention that we were tracking backend on our laptops every day. And it was not extremely effective because what a child would do is they would respond to what you have said, and the flow would completely break there. When we added in the AI layering, my understanding is, and I know Nitesh will be best to answer this, is that we sort of put in conditions on what a successful response or what an acceptable response looks like, and how can the bot sort of guide children towards that by asking 2 questions, right? So we didn't say you ask 5 questions. We put a limit that every child will be asked a maximum of 2 or 3 probing questions towards guiding them to the right answer. And it is an ongoing training, right? As your as you sort of review the data, it is an ongoing process of how do you make that probing more effective. But it is I can't speak too much about the technology, but I think it is a great way to create a space where your user still, especially the learning environment, where your user still feels safe enough to make that mistake, but also knows that there is something here that will help me out to figure out what the right way to do this is. Nitesh, if you want to pitch in here and like add in the tech perspective, please go ahead and do that. But if not, Gautam, over to you.
Thanks,
Nitesh?
Shivani. Yeah, thanks, Shivani. I think you've covered it pretty well. I'll just add one point for Rishabh. Like, I think exactly we face the same problem. And I think that's the whole power of generative AI that you can leverage. All you need is a training document and the context that you need to train your AI model with. And more important, I think, is for you to think about the guardrails on what you want AI to be more mindful about and what you don't want it to be do. I think once you train it on the documents, add those guardrails using simple prompts, the bot and the generative AI layer would do all that magic for you, where you don't have to anticipate the responses from your users. As long as it is contextual to your training document, the AI layer should be able to pass that, give the summary, how you want the summary to be, how lengthy you want it to be, what's the tone you want to hold. All of that is a part of the prompt for you to train the AI layer. And what you don't want it to be do, that's what I think is equally important in terms of guardrails. If you take care of those 2 things, your AI layer should solve all these, unanticipated questions that comes to the board. But yeah, Gautam, please add anything more nuanced if you'd like.
Thanks, Nitesh. Let's maybe take one step back and kind of look at how chatbots were made. Before you would have
Is Gautam frozen for everyone? Yeah. Gautam, we are not able to hear you.
Hi, uh, am I back? Okay, cool. Right. पहले हमने व्हाट्सएप चैटबॉट क्यों किया? कॉन्वर्जेशन ऑटोमेट करने के लिए। फायदा क्या है? 24/7 मैसेज भेजो, you will get a response. So people feel valued, right? So that was the first benefit of a chatbot. Back then, you would have only X number of things you could do. मतलब you would say, ठीक है, ये रूल है, इसके बारे में पूछा तो ये कंटेंट है, ये भेजो, इसके बारे में ये 3 बटन दबाए तो ये कंटेंट भेजो. So it was rule based. Now that you have AI, like Nitesh said, you can say ये है हमारा बेसिक कंटेंट, इसके बारे में ये टाइप्स के तरीके में आंसर्स दे दो. So I'll give you some interesting examples I've seen. One NGO used AI to, after anyone says hi, it used AI to do small talk, ask them how the day went, and based on whatever they say, make them feel valued, make them feel heard, and then connect it back to the whatever is the topic to be done. So if you say, "Oh, I've had a very bad day. I'm so sorry to hear you had a bad day." होता है यार कभी कभी ऐसे, but then this is how you become stronger, right? Chalo, let's talk about work. So you're using AI to completely handle whatever comes your way. I've had a great day. Fantastic. Let's make the day better. Let's talk about what you are supposed to do. Scenario one. Scenario two, what Kunji is doing. It talks about one particular in the finance module, talks about the concept called as uh, PAR, which is a concept saying इतना लोन पैसा दिया हूँ, इतना पैसा 90 days के बाद आ चुका है. What is my portfolio at risk? So you've seen people giving numbers and it actually does the calculation, gives it back. We didn't expect it, right? We have seen people actually giving AI guidelines saying assignment ऐसा आएगा. Topics 1, 2, 3 है. Like let's say it's a business plan. Udyam has done this where they talk about um, business viability, customer segmentation, etc. Based on what you're given as parameters, the AI actually analyzes it based on past answers, evaluates how good it is, and gives you feedback. So AI basically can be used by you to fill a lot of gaps as long as you test it thoroughly. One of the questions here is, how do you know it is not hallucinating? Hallucinating है जब उसका मन के AI का मन की बात वो दे देता है. God only knows कि क्या बोल रहा है, right? So you have to test it thoroughly. There are settings you can set, after which it gives you fairly predictable answers. Random days, it also has bad days, like we have bad days. Ek answer will go wrong, but that's how, like Shivani said, you keep on assessing what it's saying and you catch it.
Yeah, I can actually add to that. So one person on our team, her role because she's really good at it, is to give the most unanticipated responses. Right. So all of us on the team internally test out all the different flows. But there's one person who's really good at anticipating what a child might actually say that we may not be able to like predict at all. And that in a way has been a great way for us to like strengthen all these responses and all these different guardrails, because even though we can't fully anticipate, we know that there is someone holding that lens on the team. And I think that has been extremely effective as well when we're talking about training a bot, because again, in certain contexts, it's actually very difficult to predict, right? But how do you still keep tracking, like testing and tracking consistently towards increasing effectiveness?
Great. Um, that's quite amazing. I mean, like what both of you are sharing, and I can see that a lot of things are getting covered from questions that are coming in as well on the chat box as well, not bot. Great. I think it'd be fair to answer some of the questions regarding like the logistics of it, right? Gautam, I think somebody has asked about what's the minimum annual budget and human resource required for building and maintaining a chatbot, right? So I think we can start with that.
Actually, I thought I'll do a slightly different thing and let Sneha handle that question. I just wanted to show how easy it can be, because one of the biggest doubts is, oh, can we do it? हमको टेक नहीं आता है, बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है, एआई क्या है, maybe we know, we don't know, right? We have to cover all possible scenarios, but let me just do a very, very quick screen share. And I'll show you just a couple of things, right? Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Right? Let's just quickly deal with the thing about languages, right? If you go into your settings, you will see something called as languages. These are all the languages which are supported. You want something else additionally supported, you let us know. We'll put it here. You just do the tick box. Done, right? Now, how does it look in reality? Now, Gautam, you've shown us all of this. बहुत अच्छा है, but really, how easy is it to do? So I will go to create. You'll see us doing a lot of experiments here. So create from scratch, test, flow, demo. You have to give it a keyword so it knows how to start. So I'm giving a random keyword, QSTJL, configure. Now, first message you want to send is a very general message. Hi, how are you @contact dot name, because everyone's name you want to ask personally. This is in English. You can see on the right side some languages enabled: English, Hindi, Swahili, Spanish, Marathi, Bengali, Assamese, Kannada. Right? Now, if I click on any of these, let's say I click on Marathi. Any Marathi speakers here, just please unmute and say, huh?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
हो हो.
Fantastic. Oh, all Chavas are there on the call. Chava, right? That's the movie. Fantastic. Now, if I click Marathi, you'll see that it says, hi, how are you? @contact.name in English. That's not Marathi. So if you see this button here, translate, you press that, say automatic translation, submit. It'll say, I'll do this. Karlo. Now, English is there. If I click Marathi, Namaskar, contact.name, Kasa Ahet Ahat, whatever. If you are doing Kannada, hi, Hegidira, Hindi, Namaste, Kaise ho? I have no clue of Spanish. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Basically, Google Translate करके you can generate your content and then correct it. This is the first part, right? 12 languages of your choice, get go. Second is the whole AI part of it. You'll see something here on my screen called as assistant. Click on assistant. Click on create assistant. You can put in any assistant here. You can write your prompt here. You can add files. It has to read from here. You can set temperature. Less than 1 means it will be very predictive, no creativity. Greater than 1, it will be like me making jokes, very, very random all over the place, very creative, right? Then you collect this assistant ID and then you go back to your flow. And let's say you want to kind of add it. Let me just see if this one. Right. So let's say I'm just taking any of the file search demos here. Just go here. This is a prefixed flow you can import. Go inside. Just change that one ID here. Say, okay, publish. It will work with exactly your content. You will have to test it, but basically with existing flows which you can import, very easy for you to get this going. All you have to do is spend at least 1 week playing around with the system. Don't have any goal. Just keep challenging yourself. 1 week ke baad, you'll know how to use it. Just wanted to show this. Now I think I will invite Sneha to kind of talk about the other questions.
Sure. Thanks, Gautam, for showing the platform. For everyone, that's the Glific platform. Basically, that is something you can use to automate your conversation. And you can build the chat. It's a easy drag and drop based system to do it. In terms of the capacity, right? We would definitely need at least a team member from your side who can take the ownership to run the chatbot. Someone who knows about your program, who knows about your users, right? How Gautam was showing that the users are, for example, are more comfortable in Marathi. And also not just the language, right? The way you communicate with users, right? There's a particular way of communicating with children in Marathi versus adults. How well this person knows about your users is definitely one of the key considerations that the organization should make. That's one in terms of who we need. We don't need anyone who needs a tech, who should have like a tech expertise. Anyone who knows, has good analytical skills, can navigate through a tech system. There's no coding needed, nothing of that sort, but someone who's hands-on can use the chatbot for their organization. So that's on the person. In terms of budget, right? So there are different things to consider when you're thinking about budget. I'll just keep it very simple for everyone to understand. Glific, because it's a platform, it comes with a platform subscription fee. Okay, so it's a monthly subscription fee. I will share that with you in some time. It's a monthly subscription fee for you to keep your platform running That's one. And the second one is the WhatsApp messaging cost that you should consider. Because these messages are enabled by Meta. You're not using WhatsApp app-based system, and all the messages here are paid. So it's the Glific platform fee and the messaging fee. That's something that you need, and the storage cost. It's fairly free for any organizations that's starting up. And these are basically the three costs, I would say. And yeah, just the person who can actually own it for you. So that's on that.
I hope that answered the question. And of course, you can get in touch with Sneha, Gautam, and Shivani later as well. And there is something called the Glyphic Accelerator, which I'll invite Sneha to talk about in just a few minutes. Um, all right, I think I just
And I think we lost
Vishal.
Vaishali.
oh no, can you
You're
hear me
back.
now?
You're back. You're back.
I don't know. We do a webinar on tech and we have the most unstable internet. All right. I just wanted to say that I just wanted to ask both of you, right? What was one moment where, you realize that this bot is working for your beneficiaries, right? Like, if you can share that, I think that would also give some like color to the whole experience. Like, we'll understand a bit more. And of course, like, what are the things that one should consider before, say, exploring such an option? So, yeah.
When do you know a bot is working? I mean, there are so many stories, right? From individual stories to impact stories. So look at impact stories, because I want Shivani to share an individual story. They will be very, very powerful. KER revolutionaries are quite inspiring. Uh, I can think about three organizations which have used WhatsApp to kind of get feedback on policies and share it back to their authorities or to um, departments framing these policies for feedback. So there has been a positive change. If you're anyone who's been in Bangalore, one of the user organizations here on the call, ReBenefit, has used it to kind of collect feedback on potholes. They gave it for a high court case, and at least for 1 year, the roads were much better. Right. So impact can be seen every single time. I recently saw on Kunji somebody asking Kunji saying, "Is today a holiday?" Because it was May 1st. Just made my day because they're seeing that the trust they're showing in the bot, right? So it just those are very, very simple but very powerful stories at scale. Shivani, why don't you share?
Yeah, I think I keep going back to this story a lot because I think for me it's a proof point that something like this can be used by children and should be used by children. This happened in Ahmedabad when I was there for observations, and this one child in a grade 6 classroom had chosen the gender mission to explore. And I asked him because I was trying to draw trends between, are there certain kinds of children gravitating to certain topics more than one, because we saw a big like discrepancy in the number of kids who had chosen gender and climate, and this was one of the few boys who had chosen gender. And so I asked him, I said, why did you choose the gender mission? And expecting a very like standard response that I learned it in my class, but I actually was very inspired by what this child shared. The sixth grade kid says that this was around the time of the Kolkata rape cases, where this child said that we saw about these cases on the news, and my parents were talking about it, but they sent me out of the room because they said that I should actually not be hearing about these things. And I want to do this mission on gender because I believe that the world should be an equal and safe space for everyone. And I want to learn more about this problem because it's happening in my country right now, and I want to see what I can do about it. And I think that for me was a big proof point. That was more than 6 months ago, but I think it's a story I keep going back to because of just the orientation shift. It shows that why, one, that children are very aware of what's going on in the world, but also to have that orientation to learn something. And this is a great opportunity for them to be able to explore that, right? So beyond data and beyond all the numbers that we see, like I think this for me is a big proof point that something like this can work in a system where we are, and that children can sort of leverage a learning experience like this. So I think that was a huge story of impact for me.
That's actually quite wonderful, and you don't expect this kind of depth to come out, right? So that's great to know. Also wanted to ask one more thing, which I think someone here also has asked regarding community engagement, right? Where I think Abhishek and one more person were talking about they want to engage youth and the community, like they're working with farmers or they're working with youth or they're working with women. How has it helped in community engagement? Different examples if there's any.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you describe community engagement. Like, are you saying you want your users to come together as a community and engage with one another? Because my personal experience has been that what like a WhatsApp chatbot is a slightly more individualistic learning experience because it's extremely personalized. It's on my phone in my house. But what we're trying to do with our content is build in that lens of collaboration, right? So can you do this task with a friend, or can you interview three people in your house and answer these questions? So that's one way of looking at community. The other way is like actually engaging with the community they live in, which is something that we're trying to do a lot of, right? Because I think our model is described around like children learning more about the world around them. So we actually deliver different tasks to them that needs them to go around their house and community, right? So one of the tasks when they were learning about sustainable practices was actually walk around your house and click pictures of three things that are sustainable in nature and that are unsustainable in nature, right? Or walk around your home and look for two items that are made of plastic that can be easily replaced. So we are trying to sort of make children extremely aware of their surroundings through the kind of tasks we deliver to them. But I think this is extremely context specific as well. I'm sure as you're working with adults in professional settings or in very different job profiles, this will look extremely different. And it depends on like when you say community, what do you mean, right? But I think these were just two examples that I could think of. And I'll
Yeah, no.
let Gautam add if he has any thoughts on this.
No, I think you've hit it spot on, right? I think first, definitely defining who your users are. Second is defining what engagement is. Sometimes we want users to use it every single day. But if in the case, like let's say you have something like Kunji, where it is solving a problem, it will only be used when it's necessary,
Yeah.
right? So as long as they remember that they have to kind of come and use it, that is good enough, right? And again, this is something we should discuss in greater detail, but feel free to mail us. In the interest of time, I will pause.
I do want to request everyone to stay back for say maybe 5 more minutes. We can answer this last question that's come from Amita, and then I'll invite Sneha to talk about the Glyphic accelerator, which many of you might be interested to apply for and explore. So definitely, and we'll also share all of this on email. So yeah, Amita is asking how will chatbot help students who do not have proper internet and smartphone, right? In low internet or I mean going forward to rural settings also, how does it work out? Um, and also, I think the question also would be then, would you need to do a chatbot? I think that's the first step that you would address ideally, because it may not be suited to every program or every group of beneficiaries. I think that's something that we have to begin with. But yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why when I was talking about my big two takeaways, the biggest one was start with your why. Why are you
Yeah.
creating something like this and is it fit for your context, right? I think that's the first question you answer. But unfortunately, there are certain contexts where these kind of things just won't work because it's not tailored to their needs or their reality, right? And again, considering the diversity in our country, that is going to be true for more than one context. To your second point, what do you do in such situations is what we're trying to do is one, ensure that everything is integrated on the same platform, right? So if a child is on WhatsApp, we're not redirecting them to a video on YouTube because that is loading a whole other app on their phone, right? How do we keep it short and snappy and integrated within WhatsApp itself? We don't use a lot of like Padlet, Menti, or all these other sort of like integrated elements that might need them to move away from the same platform. That's one way to tackle low data resources. The second way is to actually keep the learning experience extremely snappy, right? Children have limited data that they use. Most of the people run on prepaid data services. So they're not going to be able to engage for like one hour every day, right? But how do you still to maintain consistency? Keep it extremely snappy, right? The way we pitch it is you do 15 minutes every day. One level lasts for 7 days. The content is only worth 5 days. So you can also choose when you want to do it, and you do it only for 15 minutes. And we keep it extremely simple, right? Very, not a lot of heavy PDFs, not extremely long PDFs, sometimes even making do with low res PDFs that sort of get the job done versus going with an extremely high quality sort of integration, like a very high quality video or a very long video. So I think those are also things to be mindful of, especially when working in settings where data is low and also children don't have access to phones at all times, right? So I think those were just two thoughts that I had on that. I hope that helps.
Yes. I think it does. And I think you also answered the question on whether audio-visual elements can be included in the bot. And I think it can be. Of course, we can be mindful of how heavy the files are. Great. I think there were a lot of questions answered already. We will be sharing a feedback form in case any of you have more questions. You can share it there and we'll reach out to all the speakers and they will answer it for you. Of course, you can connect with them individually as well and continue the conversations. Just as a final closing, if you'd like to share where do you see this going in the next 2 years or so, and then we can have Sneha come in. I mean, I'm saying 2 years because these things develop so fast that 2 years is a long term right now. So
I think these things develop fast, but also extremely slowly because there are so many things that you need to figure out. So it's extremely fast, but extremely slow at the same time, just from personal experience. But I think with KER school over the next 2 years, we're hoping to have, and there's a difference in the number of kids that come in and that actually continue, right? So right now, this year, our goal is to touch 400 learning journeys. And my hope is that over the next 2 years, that goes to 750 plus if things work out and if like everything is great. But yeah, the idea is just how do we reach more children with an opportunity to tap into their potential, to be more aware of the world, to be more responsible citizens. And in the long term, how do we just build that orientation towards change making in children? Yeah, I think 750 plus users and a lot of student leaders in the making is my big hope for the next 2 years.
great, great. Thank you. And Gautam, where do you see this as for the development sector, right? What are the different use cases that you'd like to see eventually happen?
That's a very interesting question. I guess what I would want to see is more impact, more data being collected so that it starts becoming evidence. The minute it starts becoming evidence, then there is validity, there is structure, there is rigor in this tool being used because it's basically a communication tool. So it basically indicates systemic or systematic usage of this tool. I would really love to kind of see how we can do lots more with speech because we know that people are way more comfortable speaking. We got someone to give us a Bhojpuri sample spoken in some part of Bihar. I mean, I had to Google search where it was. But thanks to Bashni's work, which is brilliant, it was able to recognize it with very, very good accuracy and translate it. So more of that. Uh, and to be very honest, like my mother uses WhatsApp and she's not very good with phones. If something goes wrong, she'll be like, Gautam, what is happening? And I have to tell her, Mom, you have pressed the wrong button. Right. So if she can use a bot to comfort, then we've done a good job. If I can do this, done.
Awesome, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Shivani and Gautam. And thank you to everyone for staying back. And I'd like to invite Sneha to share about the Glific Accelerator, which all of you might find interesting. So yeah.
Thanks, Vaishali. I'm just going to share my screen. Okay, so this is up on our website as well. I'm just going to share directly from there. So Glific Accelerator is once a year opportunity for NGOs to get onboarded on Glific, where we run a 2-month program with the NGOs. It starts from a 2-day training that happens in person. This time it's happening in Bangalore. 2-day in-person workshop. It's on 19th and 20th of June, and then followed by support for next 2 months. And that's virtual support, right? Before the accelerator starts, we actually work with you to make sure that you're ready for the accelerator, right? There are a bunch of things that we do before that as well. Couple of things I want to highlight about the accelerator and how is it different than getting onboarded on Glific. You can get onboarded on Glific whenever you want. What's the benefit here is you get a good focus time to build your WhatsApp chatbot in 2 days with hands-on guidance by the product managers. All the NGOs are in one room, so there's a lot of cross-learning. The community angle, which Shivani was also talking about, that comes out beautifully in the accelerator. All the NGOs talking about their chatbots, and it just opens up a lot of opportunity for them to, cross-learn, cross-collaborate, and take their chatbot to the next level in the coming months. So that's what these 2 days are going to help you with. We, as part of the offer, what we do is we are waiving off the Glyphic's monthly fee. The first month's fee is waived off. We also are waiving off paying for the NGOs to use the WhatsApp fee. Paying for the WhatsApp fee also for them to run the chatbot pilot, right? So those two are on us. Because it's a structured program, if you you have to have your pilot goals in place, right? What kind of pilot you want to run on the chatbot. And if you showcase that pilot by the end of 1 month, that you have been successful in running that pilot, you also get your second month's Glyfic fee off. So it's a huge win for organizations who are looking at launching it and launching it in quick, time frame. You get hand holding, a lot of hand holding, a lot of webinars, cohort webinars we do with organizations and with all the organizations, and there's one-on-one session with the product managers. So that's what the top highlights are. In terms of selection criteria, because it's a highly selective program, we are looking for organizations who think that WhatsApp chatbot can actually help them scale or help them run programs on WhatsApp effectively. So that's one of the things. The other one was on the budget, right? This 2.8 lakh that you see here is a round off of Glyphic's annual fee and also the WhatsApp fee that we see. It's averaged here, right? Plus minus here and there, that's okay. And when you sign up, you just have to pay the one-time setup fee, which is 15,000. Okay. And yeah, I'm going to share the link with you for all of you to see how you can apply for this. Once the application process is you apply for it, within 2 days, we reach back to you on understanding your use case. We get on a call to discuss your use case. Once you're selected, we will then send you a confirmation email, and you pay the setup fee, and that's done. So that's the entire process about. Right. So last year we had 25 organizations who were part of this cohort, and not just they learned from each other, we also learned a lot from them, and it actually helped us to grow our community through this accelerator. So yeah, so that is on the accelerator program.
Great. Thank you so much, Sneha, and thank you again, Shivani and Gautam, and the other team members who've been answering. I think Nitesh. So it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. There is a feedback form that's shared The links to all the resources will also be shared on email, and it's also there in the chat box. We do request you to fill out the feedback form. There is a space for your unanswered questions. And also, if you have any suggestions for more topics that we should take up at Atma webinars, let us know. And yes, thank you. Thank you so much, all of you.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day ahead. Bye.